Hello, everyone. How are you all doing? Can you hear me? Okay, so it doesn't definitely looks like I have a cold now. I was actually doing a recording for a pre-recording for a conference in 2 weeks. That's actually based in Germany. So they asked me to do a recording, um, which actually explains why I'm late. But on Discord, I didn't explain because there's just too many things. I was running into microphone issue, and then I was also coughing. And actually, my coughing wasn't so bad at the beginning. It was just, 2 days ago, I think I was telling you on Discord, I wasn't feeling good. I thought I had a fever, but I didn't go for COVID testing. But because I need to go for it. Actually, I already did it today for another trip coming up soon, which is the J Nation in Portugal. So I thought, let me wait until today to do the test anyway. So I just did it, but I have to wait a day or so for the result. But in the meantime, I had to do that pre-recording. And I also had to do a couple things too. And in between was just really busy. And then I was coughing. So everything got delayed, and then trying to fix my microphone problem. Let me know too. I mean, whoever is here live, audience, if you notice if there's anything with the echoing, kind of seems kind of like we're in a concert hall or something, which is kind of strange. I never, thought of it would be like this. I never had this issue. I'm not sure what changed. And then for a while, my microphone, the firmware needed to be upgraded. I thought that was causing the problem, but it took me a long time. For some reason, it wasn't able to get upgraded correctly, but finally it did, thank God. And so now it is okay, but microphone seems to be working okay, but I'm still having that problem with my throat too, not able to speak too well. So I won't be able to do a very long stream today, as much as I would like to. I think I won't be able to do that. So anyway, let me get busy now. So first of all, this actually I name it a catch-up episode because let me see if anybody says anything. So nobody has said anything, no problem. Catch-up episode because I have been behind, right? The past 3 weeks I was at different conferences that included, in Poland, there was SkiCon, which is very nice. SkiCon's also community driven. They have like Java users group in Poland there in Krakow. And also people came from Warsaw too, that was helping out with the conference. It's actually a very nice one. And so a couple of also Java champions too running that. So it's very Java centric conference. It's great. It's about 700 people or so they said registered. And then what was it? It took place in a movie theater. And then there were like 3 tracks, so three theaters inside that larger theater that they were renting. They rented like 3 of it, which for the presentations, one of whom is the biggest one, was used for more keynote, and then for also like very important, VIP speakers was there. And then I was in one of the other ones, right? The doing presentation. I couldn't tell how many people. It was very bright on me, that spotlight. But I'd say it's probably at least, the theater can hold about 200 people, I think, in that room. But probably more than half, it was filled. Maybe like 100, at least 130 or 40 people. So it was nice, and also kind of got a nice atmosphere too. And then they had like, afterwards that evening, they also buy everybody drinks, and we all went out for dinner and then came together and just had drinks and chat and all that, meeting people. So that was nice. And then I was there for 3 days with that. And then after that, I went to Zurich. There was a conference called Vox Days. Folks, if you are into like Java conferences in Europe, there's like this big thing called DevVox, right? You may be familiar with it. So DevVox, and there are Vox Days that are in smaller city. They're one-day kind of event in all the major cities. Like Zurich is one of them. Vox Days, I think Bucharest has one. Vox Days, let me try to think where else. I think, Thessaloniki. So in Greece, and Vox Days in Italy, like Milan, Athens, and all of these like smaller cities too. And so this is very nice too. They are kind of carry the flavor of that box, but just smaller. But it's very nice too. Usually, it's just got a nice community feel to it. You don't feel it's an overwhelming, nothing like sponsor coming in and try to choke you, right? So, see, I'm coughing already. So, let me drink something. So, um, let's have to smoothen out. I have some lemon water with a bit of like Chinese herbal stuff. So, anyway, hopefully it will make me feel a little better. But so that's that. And then in Zurich, so was there 2 days and came home. And then only 5 days in between, then I was off again to Spring IO, which I actually did a quick stream last week when I was there, like maybe like 10 minutes or so. I was walking around trying to show you just how it looked like there. It took place in Barcelona. Maybe if some of you have been to Barcelona, or maybe some of you are based there in Spain, and it's a very lovely city. And I really have to say, all cities have their own characteristics, but Barcelona, I have to say, is pretty special. Anyway, so there's the big kind of convention center. And they put me into the auditorium. I think it was. I later found out the auditorium could hold up to like 1,500 people. And I remember looking around, it was at least like more than half, maybe even like three quarters filled. So that was quite full. And the overall response was good too. So that was a really good experience. I talked about Apache Pulsar, event streaming. And so as such too, as you know, I work for the company, and that's what, they sponsor me there because they, would like advocates to be advocating for their software, or software that they work on. I mean, I don't have any trouble, but I really am an open source person. So I like working with open source software. So that, and okay, so Spring IO, and then 2 days there, and then 2 days I was in Istanbul for Java Day. So that was also very interesting. It was about a smaller conference, maybe 300 people at a hotel, Hilton Hotel there. It was very nice too. And as you know, Turkey is really got great food, and the Turkish delight, the sweets was just out, quite something, right? Baklavas and all these things. I was overeating, but didn't know when I came back I got sick. So anyway, who knows, right? So hopefully it's not COVID, and that's what I'm praying. Today I did the test, and hopefully tomorrow get back the results all negative, and I can go to Portugal next week. So that's the thing. That's me. And then very soon too. Then I will be going back to Poland for DevVox Poland, and also for Thessaloniki Vox Days. So, and then after that, in July, I'll be going to JBCN, which is a Barcelona Java Users Group conference, and it's they call it JBacon, JBCN, JBacon. That's the nickname for it. So that, and then also I'll be stopping by Paris too for my company. We have kind of a group meeting there for 2 days. So before I head out to JBacon, I'll be there too. So it looks like it's just going to be really busy. And sometimes too, if you think about, us advocates traveling around, I have to tell you, it gets quite tiresome. But for me, what drives me is the fact that I get to meet people. I just love it, right? Say in Istanbul, I'll be, at the table where all the sweets are. I'll be standing right by there. I got my cup of tea or coffee. It's so good. And we're just like eating that and seeing people come by and, hey, what do you do? So people are telling me, oh, they're, one person, it's very nice. He's actually already working with Pulsar, but he's more of a software engineer in test, right? So that's kind of very cool. He's a young person. I think it's great. And then he was telling me he works with Pulsar too, which is very nice to know. And so got to speak with people, what they are working on. I think it's always exciting in that sense. So anyway, so that's me. In the meantime, okay, so I don't see anybody here or anybody talking. So I'm just going to keep talking. And then in the meantime, I just thought, is it useful to kind of keep talking about event-driven things? To me, right, I feel event-driven is probably the way of the future. I mean, think of it like that, right? If you haven't worked with it yet, or if you're already working with it, in fact, if you're working with Kafka, RabbitMQ, all of these like MQ type of products, queuing and all these things, they are already kind of messaging software. And as we all know, traditional way if we do things is more about structured data and kind of, it's more like synchronous kind of fashion, right? So to do things in event-driven way, kind of asynchronous, and also like an unstructured kind of stream of data that you process, you can scale better and do all of these things. And so, not to say it solves all problems, but a lot of problems can be solved using event-driven approach. And in fact, let me think of this problem. Maybe we can look at it together right now, because I have this one user who recently joined my Discord too. He came from Vietnam. I think his name is Doug, but I'm not exactly sure. But anyway, otherwise he has a handle. Doug, if you're watching, I'm referring to your problem. He wrote me and was asking me about this problem. Let me kind of share with you too. That might be good, if anybody is interested to know. He was trying to ask and was saying that he's trying to find out, right, if Pulsar, Apache Pulsar, support RPC. I think he wants to know if the producer, when it sends a message to the consumer, it wants to receive a message from the consumer. So does Pulsar support RPC? And does it support back pressure, like reactive, to control flow between producer and consumer? Okay, so that was his question. And basically, I answered him. I was saying that essentially the back pressure part, controlling flow thing, Pulsar does handle that too. It's kind of like the reactive way, right, to control the flow so then it doesn't overwhelm the broker, or the producer side, or it's kind of moderated so it doesn't choke, the processing side. But as far as RPC, I thought that was interesting, right? So I was saying that why would you think of, because RPC as such is more of a synchronous way of doing things, although it is just like regular method calls, you remote, but it's kind of remote behind the scenes, right? You're calling a function that sits elsewhere, not in your same system. So I just asking him like why, you want to do Pulsar, which is a event-driven pops up broker, and then you ask if it supports RPC. So I was like, I was scratching my head, why would it be? And but apparently he wants to know if the producer sends a message, when it sends the message to the consumer, it wants to also receive a message from the consumer. So does that support RPC? So it almost seems like it's like, I'm the sending client, but I want to know if my receiving side is actually got it, and then that receiving side is going to send me back a message to let me know. Now that I'm talking about it, because I asked him, I was saying that why would you do that? And okay, so here's his question, his subsequent response to after I asked him. And he was just saying that he wants to send email, and then the application just wants to know if it is successful or fail by receiving message from other service, which would then send email. So it wasn't very clear to me. So then I asked him a little more, and he said he means that it's in microservices. His service wants to send messages to another service via Pulsar, and when it completes the processing, he needs to receive again the message from the service. So then his application would then want to send an email to another service, which will send an email. And then I think the way he's describing it means that he wants to make sure, okay, producer is going to be publishing some, messages through the broker, and then the consumer receives it. He wants to make sure the receiving side also will inform him, the producer side, that it receives the message. So I think now I can see, because I was saying that why do you want to use RPC in that case, right? So I think now maybe I understand what it is. But the thing is that he was just saying that the message would drop off if he doesn't use a message queue. Okay, so I basically said, okay, can you then send me some more information? And then he sent this over to me. Let me see. Let me kind of share a little bit, and let's see if I could. I think let me kind of save the image and then just share with you there. So this is like the RPC pulsar question. Okay. All right. So, all right. So I save it, and so now I'm over here, and let me see if I could open it. Why is it not opening up? And let me kind of take a look. Oh, let me see. Let me see. Now I can't find where I saved it. Okay, here we go. Oh wait, why is it so strange? All right, here we go. Let me move this over to here. Oh, this is kind of a little small. Okay, maybe this is okay. So I guess we can kind of examine this and then see how to answer Doug about this, right? So he basically has a client server, and basically over here, maybe I'll shrink it a little to see it better. Okay, he's actually using RabbitMQ and client server, basically going through an RPC queue, sending the request to an AMQP queue, which is AMQP is used by RabbitMQ. Okay, so the request is sending to that queue, this RPC queue, and then it gets picked up by the server. So when it replies to it, it goes into here. So he wants to be able to kind of like have the reply being sent to the client. And then I think he wants to then do it in Pulsar. So I think, right, we may not need to think like that, because for one thing too is that the broker itself too will send acknowledge package back to the producer. So in order for, let's say, the sender to know that a certain subscriber has received the messages, I wonder if we could actually tap in excuse me, maybe tap into the system. see what happened. I'm still not well with my cough or something, but so maybe the problem is not so much about using Pulsar in this case. I think if it is like using the basic problem is not basic, but the issue that we're trying to see here is that client, has request sending to the server in the queue, server reply, so the client should get something back. But basically too, we want to make sure, well, I'm just trying to think too, I don't think in that case you want to use Pulsar and then also have Pulsar being able to tell us that the receiver has received something. Perhaps that would kind of like defeat the purposes of having had to explicitly acknowledge like this, because by default, the packet acknowledgement is already done on the Pulsar streaming platform level. But if we really need to know on the application side, we need to make sure the packet did arrive and get, kind of delivered to the client. Maybe the client could then send back some explicit acknowledgement, maybe back onto another topic. That's basically my sender side can be subscribing to too. I think, maybe in some ways is a different way of doing things rather than relying on RPC. So Doug, if you are here, let's kind of discuss this some more, because I don't think if you're kind of using RPC for doing your RabbitMQ thing, it is a queuing thing. But if you want, in Pulsar, I think I know what. In Pulsar too, there are 4 modes of doing doing the subscription, right? So subscription is when your client is subscribing to a topic, right? And then it will receive messages whenever there are messages published by the publishing site to that topic. So there are four modes. So first mode is called exclusive mode. Exclusive mode is when you have a dedicated receiver, dedicated only one subscriber. So that's actually a queuing mechanism. So perhaps to what you can do is still use Pulsar, but have your subscription, the mode set to exclusive. I think maybe that will do it. And then if you need to know the result, I think, now I haven't got to that part, but I would think you should be able to then, there may be ways of kind of querying to kind of make sure that, okay, message gets delivered. And also you can query the platform to make sure that the packet acknowledgement that's sent back to the sender side, that you can actually read that and kind of get it from. I think that's what it is. So why don't we do this? Let me kind of go to the website and kind of take a look. And in the meantime, this is actually what I did earlier too. I've been doing these presentation. I wanted to show you too, because if Doug is here, this one. Well, this one. No, here, there we go. So this is the part that I was trying to show you. The publisher publish things over to a topic. So it's only publishing, but in order to make it really useful you need to have subscription established. Subscription established whenever you have a consumer that's subscribing to that topic, then that kind of like created a subscription. So if you want to do exclusive, that's essentially is queuing, because that will become one-to-one. That topic is only gets delivered. All of the messages from that topic get delivered to only one consumer. And then there's also this thing called failover, because in case of failure in, like you need two subscribers in a failover type of subscription. If the first consumer, the primary consumer, somehow not able to receive anything, then the other one will take over, basically. And so likewise in here, consumer B1, if it for some reason can't unable to receive anything, then consumer B2 will take over and be receiving the messages from this topic whenever it's there. And then there's also shared, right? So shared is pretty much just is a subscription that's shared by multiple consumers. They share the same subscription. So very useful in case of like cloud native type of environment. And then thing is, there's also this thing called key shared. So key shared, as you can see, they're all in order too. Over here, we're kind of indicating everything is kind of sorted way. So that's kind of a bit of a difference between the two. But otherwise too, if you want to do queuing, you might want to use the exclusive one. I think that's what I'm trying to tell you. But okay, so in the meantime, let's kind of dig into some of the documentation to see if there's some way of us on the programmatic side to kind of query into the the broker itself to kind of get any kind of observable kind of property. We can kind of figure out did the message gets delivered properly, did it delivered and also received by the receiving side. So let's kind of take a look. So let's go over here. So this is the Pulsar documentation. We have the latest version 2.10. I don't think I can stream for way too long. I'm already kind of very itchy on my throat, but I'll try. Let's kind of take a look. Thank you for your patience with me. This is not sure how I pick up this cold. Hopefully not COVID, but if anything else, thank God, it's not serious. Just annoying. I was very tired, and now my voice is about to go. But anyway, let's hope all good. I hope you are good too. I hope everybody's healthy. That's the important thing. So okay. So let's see, concepts in architecture. What should we be looking at, right? So now if you want to kind of go here, it's basically this guy, right? Let me kind of go over here. Closer. Not. Okay, this Make sure. Okay, we'll go back to the one that I sent you. Okay, so this is actually the new portal too, which is kind of nice. So wanting to kind of share with you, but I wanted to kind of see, but search for something like broker hack something. Oh, nothing. Hack. Well, this doesn't seem to work too good. Let's try it again. All right, so so not able to find it. Okay, broker. Okay, well, doesn't seem like the search is working too good. Okay, well, no problem. I guess in that case, we're in the doc. References. Let's go to the broker. Messages, maybe. Okay. Architecture. Service discovery broker. Oh, this is just terminology. I'm sorry. I thought there would be I want a chapter that's on like broker or something. Cookbooks, performance, security, administration, deployment. Um, let's try concepts in architecture. Overview, messaging, architecture, clients, geo-replication, multi-tenancy, authentication, and authorization, topic compaction, proxy. Okay, doesn't seem like it would have, but let's say messaging. Acknowledgement, there we go. I was searching for act and it doesn't find it. Okay, let me search for acknowledge. This is silly, it can't find it, but it's right there. Anyway, okay, so that's what it is. See, Pulsar is built on the publish subscribe pattern. In this pattern, producers publish messages to topics. Consumers subscribe to those topics, process incoming messages, and send acknowledgement to the broker when processing is finished. So I'm trying to see if I can tap into this acknowledgement to get the status of this delivery, right? Whether it's the receiving side getting the messages and sending on the packet level back to the broker, right? All these things. So that I don't actually need to do any testing. It's basically the packet will tell me, the packet, if I can somehow have access to read, to see, to kind of essentially a read-only access to the packet level acknowledgement status, then I know if the messages get delivered properly or received properly. Acknowledgement. So consumer sends an acknowledgement request to the broker after it consumes a message successfully. Yes, that's right. So there we go, right? Then this consumed message will be permanently stored, okay, and be deleted only after all the subscriptions have acknowledged it. If you want to store the messages that have been acknowledged by a consumer, you need to configure the message retention policy. Okay, there we go. So for batch messages, you can enable batch index acknowledgement to avoid dispatching acknowledged messages to the consumer. For details about batch index acknowledgement, see batching. Messages can be acknowledged in one of the following two ways: being acknowledged individually. With individual acknowledgement, the consumer acknowledges each message and sends an acknowledgement request to the broker. Being acknowledged cumulatively. With cumulative acknowledgement, the consumer only acknowledges the last messages it received. All messages in the stream up to and including the provided message are not re-delivered to that consumer. Okay, so I think maybe Doug's question, right, that was raised could be some individual acknowledgement. See, the consumer will acknowledge the message and sends an acknowledgement request to the broker. So if somehow we can kind of know that from the acknowledgement request to the broker, we know that the messages has been received, on the consumer side. If you want to acknowledge messages individually, you can use the following API. It's basically consumer acknowledge the messages. If you want to acknowledge messages cumulatively, you can use the following, which is acknowledge cumulative. Okay, so I think then to answer Doug's question, Doug can no need to use RPC in this case. If you want to leverage on Pulsar to kind of deliver that extra layer of kind of testing to see if messages get delivered, if you want to use Pulsar, basically then on your consumer side, your client kind of subscribing side, just do an acknowledge of that message when it's received. I think that probably would do it, right? Doug, anyway, I will reach out to you, Doug. I think it's too late for him, or maybe it's already morning. I think in Vietnam, I think it's probably like 12 or 13 hours. So it's about morning time for him. So I'll reach out to Doug and we'll talk about it. So all these two, right? I just wanted to kind of bring this up because that's the kind of a fun, if you may call it, like fun things of doing messaging. There's just so much small details, right? Like your size of messages, the frequency, the throttling, everything, acknowledging it, and all of these things, all these details. I think will take a lot of time, to kind of do it. But anyway, let me kind of share this too, right? So this one is the Pulsar documentation, again, if you want to take a look at. So, all right. All right. So if you want to kind of read up on more of these two, there are tons of kind of information in here about topics. You have a whole chapter. And of course, too, even the Stream Native people, right? They are the company that actually supports Pulsar. And they are the original Pulsar creator from Yahoo that formed that company called Stream Native. They actually, I have to admit, for me, right, I never knew about Pulsar until I joined DataStax, but I've worked with event streaming reactive systems before, and I'm finding this to be very interesting, quite fascinating too. But the Yahoo people, they are quite really specialists, and of course, at Stream Native, there, if you want to learn more about Pulsar, you can actually go to their site. They do have like tons of things too, and like I said, I feel that this is open source software, even though I work for one company, but I do believe we're helping each other in this whole ecosystem. So as folks, if you're interested too, I even go to their site because I do find that they have a lot of quite interesting. So Stream Native, and so they do that, and then they also, I think if you go to resources, they have what they call Academy. So a lot of they put together a lot of really good tutorials. Now for me, I'm all new to DataStax. There isn't any plan yet to kind of put together training materials like that. And of course at DataStax, if you are a Cassandra person, there are tons of materials on learning about Cassandra. But the thing is with Pulsar, that's something that I have to help to build up, in fact. So, and over here too, if folks want to learn about Pulsar, over here, right, they can start in here, getting started, test your knowledge, all of these. I think they have a lot of quite very detailed training and everything too. So if you're interested too, I mean, I met people from there. So I do feel, it's just we're all helping each other. It's the same ecosystem, Apache Pulsar. So just wanted to point out to you. All right, so back to DataStax. So over here, let me kind of, now DataStax, right, again, sometimes I feel, I'm just kind of bringing you information that I hope you find it to be interesting. I don't ever want to force you to buy anything if you don't want to, and I just want to share with you things that are free, right? It's always the best things in life are free. So that's my whole goal. So let me share with you this this one, right? What is it? I have EstraDataStax.com. So this is how you can get there, right? EstraDataStax.com is the Cassandra, managed Cassandra platform that have support for streaming, which we call Astra Streaming, and is essentially is Pulsar underneath the hood. So that's what it is. So if you want to do any kind of streaming, you can kind of create stream here and everything. But over here, let me show you something. I recently worked on a project, and then I created a new organization because I want to separate out some of these things that I'm working with. And over here too, I created a database. It's called POC. My POC over here too. I also have a POC tenant that I created, which is the streaming tenant. Now, if you kind of click into it, I basically am working with a different company that they are using, trying to use the topic. So I wrote up a topic for them. If you look over here, it's a little slow, but that's the nice thing, right? You create a tenant, you can kind of start using it too. A tenant is essentially a unit, right? A unit of you being able to kind of define your stream, your Pulsar stream, and then also then define your topics, and then write your producer, consumer, or even a reader to it in order to get messages going, essentially. And then you can also have functions that are written to it. I think you can create new function too. Functions are essentially serverless kind of functions in order for you to do kind of more like a stateless approach of doing message mediation. If you want to transform the messages as they come and go like that, you can actually write these small functions too. They are just bite-sized serverless type of function that you can kind of do. And then you can then output all of your stuff over to a sink, and you can create a sink. The sink can be, let's say, default, and then sink type. As you can see right now, there can be AstraDB, which is another managed Cassandra database receiver sink, or some data generator, Elasticsearch, that's very useful. JDBC ClickHouse, JDBC MariaDB, JDBC Postgres SQL, the SQLite for JDBC Kafka, Kinesis, and Snowflake. So now the thing is, if you don't find what you need, then guess what? You can actually write your own connector. So if you go back in here to our documentation, as you can see, there are different aspects of Pulsar. There's Pulsar schema too, which I haven't even gone in. So I should actually spend time on talking about schema next time too, because that's probably important, I guess, right? It's kind of useful because any kind of data, we need schema to kind of define it, right? Kind of like that. So next time, let me spend time on the schema. But for now, let's go over. I talk about really quickly, right? About Pulsar. Wait, where's my cursor? Okay, here we go. Function, I talk about function. There's also Pulsar IO too. IO is what you do. Oh, actually, I told people the wrong thing. I was going to tell them to write a connector, but they are called Pulsar IO. I said Pulsar connector. Anyway, okay, no big deal. So built-in connector, right? You can also these are all the built-in connector in here. Source connector and everything, right? All of these, that's actually quite a lot. So basically you can connect it. It's already, if you need to have a sink to kind of receive things, you can do Canal, Debezium, with different database backend, Debezium, all kinds, DynamoDB, File, Flume, Twitter Firehose, Kafka, Kinesis, Netty, blah, 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 RabbitMQ, Sync Connector, all these, Cassandra, all of these, right? So the thing is now, like I said, if you can't find what you need, I thought there's also Elastic. Oh yeah, Elastic in here too, for example. If you can't find what you need, you can actually write your own how to develop Pulsar connector. So this whole chapter is on information on how you can develop it yourself, right? Writing your own connector too. And so it shouldn't be too bad, but maybe at some point after my current season of travel, I can maybe we can write a connector. Maybe what should we connect to? But over here, right? Let's take a look. These are all the built-in. Let's see, did they have? Okay, so they have Twitter, Firehose, they have Kafka. What would be good? What do you think? Oh, I think I know. There isn't it. Trilio, right? There's also, I think Trilio is also seems to be a very popular type of messaging kind of services, right? So maybe we can do a Trilio type of connector too. I mean, that's just a suggestion. We don't have to do that. We can do something else, but right now it doesn't seem like anybody is in here today. But if you are watching this, and you want to kind of communicate to me, just connect with me on Discord and tell me what you think might be good. So Okay, but otherwise too, we can let's try something out with the connector, and then with that we can come up with some idea. First, we look into Pulsar schema next time, and at some point we can write another Pulsar I/O connector too. Okay, and then the rest over here. Um, so Pulsar I/O, Pulsar SQL, tier storage, transactions, Kubernetes, all of these things, deployment, administration, security, all of these, there's just tons of information. So let's kind of like plan on getting together and kind of do something on that at some point. But for now, I know it's kind of like getting late, and I have to tell you, I think I'm about at the end of my voice right now. I don't feel my voice is handling it too well because I'm just constantly kind of feel like I have to like pause a little bit because I think the throat isn't feeling completely well. So and I'm itchy again. So okay, so with that, I hope it's kind of giving you some idea since no one right now no one right now has asked me for anything. Then I just have to assume okay, maybe this might be like good enough for now. So let me see. I can't actually get to the conversation part. Okay, there we go. So nobody has asked questions. So I just assume that this probably is okay for today. It is a very short episode, may not be very useful. And then there might be folks too who have come to my conference talks and everything. If you need more info, I promise you I will have more info eventually. It's just so right now I am just having in between with a lot of things and kind of my travel and everything, so it's a bit crazy. But other than that, after I'm kind of have more time, we'll kind of sit down and do more work on this. And then with that, if we don't have anything else, then maybe I like to end the stream now. It's been like almost 15 minutes, so that's not too bad, right? And maybe it's also like evening time for me here. It's like past 7 p.m., so it's also dinner time. And if it's in the US, it's about dinner time everywhere. And then if you're in Europe, you're already sleeping. And then if you're Asia, you're getting up. So okay, so in the meantime, I'll get back to Doug too about the RPC issue with the RPC question, I should say, with Pulsar. Just recommending him to kind of doing, oh, and I never looked up, right, didn't I? Let me kind of take a look. I said acknowledgement, but is there some way of me able to kind of peek into getting the acknowledgement? Let me see the messaging part, right? So send messages, but I like to know if there's some ways. Oh, I see. There we go. Okay, so there are kind of quite a lot of details in here, but the idea is that okay, so basically too, there's also negative acknowledgement. So this mechanism will allow you to send a notification to the broker indicating the consumer did not process a message. When a consumer fails to consume a message and needs to reconsume it, the consumer sends a negative acknowledgement, NAC, to the broker, triggering the broker to re-deliver the message to the consumer. Messages are negatively acknowledged individually or cumulatively, depending on the consumption subscription type. In exclusive and failover subscription type, consumers only negatively acknowledge the last message they receive. In shared and key shared subscription types, consumers can negatively acknowledge messages individually. Be aware that negative acknowledgments on ordered subscription types such as exclusive, failover, and key share might cause failed messages being sent to consumers out of the original order. If you're going to use negative acknowledgement on the message, make sure it is negatively acknowledged before the acknowledgement timeout. Okay, so that is very interesting. So maybe that this is somewhere we can also kind of figure it out, the acknowledgement piece, so okay, so I think that's where I know where to kind of pick up from, and I will talk with Doug about this too. So All right. I hope it is helpful. Maybe looking a bit into messages, looking a bit into acknowledgement, into doing Pulsar IO, writing your own connectors and things like that, and the Pulsar schema, which we will talk about at one of my upcoming episodes. Let's put it that way. Okay, so with that, thank you very much. I hope you all stay healthy and enjoy the summer. Summer is almost here now in the northern hemisphere. So in the southern hemisphere, I think you are getting into winter time now. So I hope everybody has great time and just be safe and be healthy. Okay, all right. Thanks. Oops. I guess it's over here. I'm in the wrong side. Okay. All right. Have a great weekend, everyone. Bye.